For a firm in short run, at least one input is fixed. In the long run, however, all inputs are variable, so the firm can adjust plant size to minimize production cost. The long-run average total cost curve is the envelope of many short-run average cost curves. It is drawn by taking the lowest possible cost at each output level from among all short-run curves. Each short-run curve is tangent to the long-run curve at exactly one point, the output level for which that particular plant size is most efficient. At that point, the firm's short-run cost equals the minimum long-run cost. If the firm tries to produce more or less with the same plant, its cost will rise above the long-run cost, because the plant becomes either too small or too large. This animation shows the envelope curve together with two short-run cost curves. The perpendicular dotted lines from the points of tangency help us identify both the cost and output levels associated with each plant size. Let's take a look at the functional forms of the curves we'll be using. Here's the long-run average total cost function, and the corresponding long-run marginal cost function. Next, we have the linear demand and marginal revenue functions. Finally, the short-run average total cost and marginal cost functions, first for plant size 1, and then for plant size 2. Consider the monopolist and the market situation illustrated in this diagram. The linear curves, as labeled, represent the market demand and the marginal revenue faced by the monopolist. This is the long-run average cost curve, also called the envelope curve, and this is the corresponding long-run marginal cost curve, which intersects the average cost curve at its minimum point.
Suppose in the initial period, the monopolist builds the plant represented by these short-run average and marginal cost curves. The equality of short-run marginal cost and marginal revenue determines the short-run equilibrium point, shown here by the red dot. By dropping a perpendicular from this point to the horizontal axis, as indicated by the dotted line, we obtain the equilibrium quantity, 12.38 units. Where this dotted line meets the demand and short-run average cost curves, we find the equilibrium price and unit cost, 150.47 and 84.26, respectively. Monopoly profit is represented by the shaded blue rectangle formed by these points. Multiplying its height and width gives the monopolist's profit for this initial period, 819.87. In the long run, however, the monopolist seeks a more profitable outcome. At this stage, the long-run marginal cost becomes relevant. In the second period, corresponding to the long-run scenario, the new production plant capable of achieving this outcome is represented by these cost curves in the diagram. Notice that at the equilibrium point, marked by the red dot, the long-run marginal cost equals marginal revenue, and both are also equal to the cost given by the short-run marginal cost function of the second plant. In the long run, therefore, the monopolist produces 19.89 units and charges a unit price of 120.46. As before, monopoly profit is shown by the red shaded rectangle. The profit now amounts to 1,160.62. For comparison, both scenarios are now shown together in a single diagram.
Another important comparison is with the long-run scenario of perfect competition, from a welfare point of view. In this case, the market demand curve becomes a horizontal line tangent to the minimum point of the long-run average cost curve, the envelope curve. This horizontal line also represents marginal revenue, which equals the long-run marginal cost at that same minimum point. At this perfectly competitive long-run equilibrium, compared to the monopolist's outcome, the quantity produced is higher, 25 units, while the price charged is lower, 60. As shown here, the welfare intuition is clear and concrete. Output increases by about 26% relative to the monopoly case, while price falls by 50%. This animation summarizes the three scenarios, their equilibrium points, rectangular profit areas, and corresponding values. In short, the comparison makes clear that monopoly restricts output and raises price, while perfect competition achieves greater efficiency and overall welfare.